startup culture in India is coming of age. One of the key drivers of most startups is technology. This in turn has triggered an e-commerce and commerce boom. Just Buy Life is one such company that aims to leverage the power of m-commerce. Initiated in the year 2015 by Sahil Sani, Just Buy Life aims to be the first e-distribution app in India to empower retailers. Revolutionizing trade in the country, Sahil wants to empower brands and simplify their buying experience. Hello, I'm Krishna Kumar and I'm in conversation with Sahil Sani, CEO of Just Buy Life. Sahil, thank you so much for talking to us. First up, tell us, you call yourself the world's first e-distributor. What exactly does that mean?
Well, that simply means that we are the first to not only to ideate and execute this novel idea, but we've actually built a very large infrastructure to build a credible alternate to traditional distribution using technology. No one's ever attempted something like this for multiple reasons. It's first of all, it's a very large-scale project, very hard to implement, and all stakeholders needed to get on board on this concept initially. So I believed at the outset that we would pull this off, and so we went ahead and executed this.
So you are the world's first e-distributor. That's why I wanted to ask you, how is it that something like this particular business model, this B2R mobile commerce model, has not been attempted before, be it India or even across the world globally?
Because most traditional distributors, and I've been one throughout my career, haven't found the need to change their current mode of business operation. And also in the larger e-commerce world, most people have focused mainly on B2C models and focusing on the C. They found it somehow more effective, more glamorous. This has been, like I said before, been very hard to execute, and I think my experience in distribution has allowed me to be able to pull this off.
What are the pain points that Just Buy Life is trying to solve for the retail community?
Okay, so India's retail community has been doing business the way they do business for the last 100 years. Nothing has changed. What we are allowing them is so one of the biggest pain points they have is not having enough access to credit and not having enough access to the brands that they need. They are subject to the local area distributors, and they depend on them exclusively for their supplies, for the range, and most importantly for working capital. Just Buy eliminates all those pain points by actually providing those for them. So on a simple mobile application, a retailer can choose thousands of products from thousands of brands, avail instant credit through a very novel credit deployment system that we created, all tech-based, and make his life generally much easier. One of the things I believe is we're removing the human interaction. So there's advantages and disadvantages to human interaction, and I believe e-commerce takes away some of the disadvantages. But that doesn't mean to say we're purely a mobile commerce company. We have feet on the street, we have people visiting them, assisting them to download the app, register, and also make buying decisions as well.
That brings me to my next question. There are so many retailers of all sizes, shapes, types, and that too all across the country, in all corners of the country. How do you plan to reach them all? How does Just Buy Life reach them all?
So we've split that into two strategies. Of course, in the major cities, we're onboarding retailers directly. So we have our army of our feet on the street who will go and visit each retailer directly. This, of course, is only for the aided downloads. We expect a lot of unaided downloads that people see our above-the-line advertising, PR, and try and download it themselves. So in the major 15 cities, we're going directly to every retailer. We're going to be visiting every single retailer on the streets of India in these cities and teaching them how to download and register, and get them onboarded onto the platform. But what about the big rural play in India? That's very important for us. So there's over 500 or 600 towns that won't be possible for us to send out people. It won't be cost efficient to go and onboard retailers one by one. So we've set up a program called Vyapari. And this is micro distribution. We're going to set up a network of over 50,000 Vyaparis. And these will be sub-distributors at the Tehsil level, so within districts at Tehsils and Sarpanch level. We'll appoint these guys, and they will be the buyers from Just Buy, and they will go and market products to multiple retailers. This has been attempted by some large FMCG companies in sub-Saharan Africa and in rural India as well. But the disadvantage that they had is that they only represented one brand or one group of brands. In our case, we're multi-brand, multi-platform. So imagine a small village that has about 50 shops. They'll have one electrical store, one mobile store, one chemist, and so on. Our Vyaparis, because of the range we have available, can actually become a distributor to the whole village, rather than him only representing one brand or one category of products. So he can literally be the entrepreneur to cater to all those retailers' needs over there. And at the moment, those retailers don't have access to bandwidth, but he does. Okay, so we ensure that he has a smartphone, he has all the compliances, all the tax IDs are done, and he has a small mini warehouse in that area. So he's our primary point. So this two-pronged strategy, I believe, we should be able to reach everybody in about 2 years.
Now tell us the crucial point, margins. Margins traditionally depend upon the store location, the store size, and the business relationship with the retailer as well. How does Just Buy Live arrive at the exact margin that you are offering to retailers?
Well, that's the unique part, is we don't have to worry about that, because the brands, traditionally the brands define the margins for the entire value chain, including us as a distributor. So the brands will decide what is the Vyapari's margin and also the retailer margin. It's all predefined and predetermined at the time of creating a product, or also depending on what the competitive environment is for them. So that's easy for us. We allow the brands to access the platform, and they define prices. They define the MRPs, the retail prices, and the dealer margins directly through our tech stack.
You have this very unique credit offering. What made you launch Udhar by Just Pay? And how much Udhar do you plan to extend to retailers, say, over the next couple of years?
So one of the most important functions of any distributor, whether it's an e-distributor or a regular distributor, is to afford credit to these retailers. The entire working capital lines depend on the credit they receive from distributors, because they don't have access to working capital loans from the banking system. Never had before. So we realized that if we don't give credit, there's no play for us. It's not a cash and carry model. India, cash and carry never worked. It's not a successful model for retailers. Right? So being a distributor, we had to perform one of the most important functions, which is affording credit. So we had to go back and build a system that replicates the real world, of the existing world, but of course we cannot individually lend to every single retailer and take that kind of risk on our books, but the banks do that. That's the job of banking and financial institutions, and so we partnered with India's largest banking institutions to build a unique credit deployment platform for MSMEs, for the Aam Dukandar, and that's how we came about this.
We're talking about the time spans the next couple of years. Over the next couple of years, Just Buy Live is going to grow and get bigger. As the size and scale of your operations grow and become bigger, what are the challenges that you foresee?
One of the challenges, of course, maintaining over thousands of brands, basically ensuring, so it's very rare that you have a distributor that handles more than 5 or 6 brands. We intend to have 5,000 brands at the end of this year. We already have 1,000 on board. So imagine relationship management with each brand. Okay. Thankfully, technology allows them to access the retailer directly, but at the same time, we have an army of relationship managers taking care of the brands on one side. Then is, of course, on the customer service side. So retailers will have stuff like returns and missed payments, and maybe they don't pay on time or they don't get their deliveries on time. So we have an army of call center and feet on the street to take care of them. So scaling up is, of course, a challenge, but thankfully we're backed by very large investors that want us to succeed.
All right, fantastic. On that note, we will take a short breather, but our conversation with Sahil Sahni, CEO of Just Buy Live, will continue after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm Krishna Kumar and I'm in conversation with Sahil Sahni, CEO of Just Buy Live. Sahil, now I want to ask you, big established brands like, say, under the hood of HUL or an ITC already have their distribution network that's established and that's set. What does Just Buy Live have to offer to them, and how does it improve on that?
So very interesting. We had everyone thought it would be a major challenge to onboard brands that already have huge distribution networks established over almost 30 to 50 years. The subjective human nature of relationships. Every distributor, technically, as of today, till today, is a human, right? And they run an organization made up of people. Now, so every trade is transactional in nature between a buyer and a seller, and it's a negotiation. It's a tool. A negotiation, a subject comes up where they have to negotiate. I have told them that what if I remove that subjective nature? You focus on brand building and creating demand at the consumer level. We will take care of distribution. We will make sure that brands, your products, reach the retailer effectively, efficiently, without any human intervention. That's what resonated with them. Complete control and transparency is why they came on board, and most importantly also access to live analytics. So what is selling where and to whom and when. Also the breadth of retailers that we have on board, and except for the few top 5 companies, we're already going to be larger than any distribution network, physical distribution network can handle. But for the big brands, interestingly, is they found value to further increase their width. Even a company like Unilever, who has almost 5 million active retailers, we've promised them that we can effectively, in a cost-efficient way, increase the number of retailers that have access to their products using both direct-to-retail and micro-distribution I spoke to you about.
We will move away from the big guys to the Aam Dukandars. What are your predictions as far as the Aam Dukandars, the smaller, retailers in the country is concerned? It's not been the easiest time for them, be it the kind of competition that they've had to face with the e-commerce boom, or the high overhead costs, the operational costs. What is your take on the way forward for the Aam Dukandars?
Well, they're a very agitated lot, I can tell you. We have consumers there, and I've spoken to over hundreds of them, and they all say the same thing. Customers walk into their store, ask for a product, they're quoted a price, and they immediately pull out their smartphone and say, hey, it's cheaper on XYZ e-commerce, e-tail platform. So the retailers are helpless. They have no clue. They don't want to think large enough to say what actually is the real issue. All they know, they're losing a transaction. They're losing a customer. And not only losing a customer, they're also losing face in front of these customers. So we're focusing on getting these retailers back into the game. Okay, and how we do that is by making sure they have better margins and they have better access to price. So we believe a combination of removing the human element of distribution, where traditional distributors are limited by scale. So they may not, every distributor is not pan-India. They don't have enough infrastructure or feet on the street or salesmen or warehousing to be able to cater optimally for the market. We do. And so we afford democratic access for retailers to unlimited brands on our platform, avail the best schemes, not only the brand schemes but also our schemes that we use to promote higher sales. But brands have a democratic access to all the retailers. They're not limited by subjective distributors.
Right. Now I want to ask you, how many retailers, brands are listed on the app, as of now on Just Buy Live, and what are your growth targets for the same?
Okay, so we believe it's a limitless platform, but so far we have over 1,000 brands, out of which over 600 are some of the major brands that exist in India, that operate in India across categories like FMCG, personal care, mobile accessories, stationery, toys and games. We have over 25,000 retailers on the platform registered with us already, but we're about to scale up humongously in the near term. Our ad campaign goes live in a few days from now. In fact, it should already be live on TV right now. By the end of March 31st, we intend to have at least 100,000 retailers and 2,000 brands on our platform. By the end of 2016 calendar, we'll have 1 million retailers on our platform with about 5,000 brands on offer.
All right, and how do you say, set growth targets, say for the retailers who are on the platform, or who are the brands who are associated with their platform? Do you have growth targets for them as well?
So we closely monitor the buying patterns of retailers within each category, of course relevant to what they do and what they sell and how they've structured. We're also incentivizing them to try new models within their store. So chemists should not only sell deodorants, but why can't they try to sell a low-end, maybe smartphone? I don't know. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
They have customers walking in. A store doesn't have to be defined only by a particular category. So they could expand their offerings. Yes, but we're looking that each retailer at least buys $200 to $250 on each order, which is again quite significant in the e-commerce world, never done before. But we're also focusing on customer retention to have them keep buying again and again. So it's very important that we provide them the best, basically timely deliveries and a good experience, overall experience, where they can call in, check their account, and so forth. So we hope that each retailer uses us for at least 20 to 25% for the first year of the entire requirement. And if that happens, that's a very significant number.
All right. On this note, I have to ask you this. What is the message from Just Buy Live to the retailer community? Because, at the end of the day, you're here to make sure certain pain points go away for retailers of all shapes and sizes. So what is your message, Just Buy Live's message, to the retailers community?
The most important message is that we are your friendly neighborhood distributor. We are not against you. We are with you. Do not bucket us into the e-world. You won't even exposed to e-tail. That is a competitor. We are your friend. We call ourselves Dukandar Ka Dost. Okay, we are your friend. We are not just your supplier. We take care of you. You take care of us, but we take care of you more. We can help you grow profitably. Okay, and we're here to stay for the long term.
So that's the message. Now, and there's another message I want you to give to people who are watching you right now. As you grow, you have ambitious growth plans, say even for the next 2 years as well, which means that for a longer time span, you have even more ambitious growth plans. When will we get to see Just Buy Live listed on the stock exchanges? When? What are the plans as far as the listing of Just Buy Live is concerned?
Yeah, so it's well laid out for the next 5 years. So we hope to be on the markets by 2020 with a very large international offering. That's the plan. I think we'll hit that. It's of course dependent on how we, not if, but when we scale up and we hit our matrices that we set for ourselves. So yeah, it'll be about 2020. 2020.
But for now, what is your focus right now? That is 4 years away. 2 years you have ambitious growth plans. But what is the current focus of Just Buy Live right now?
It's just to get as many retailers up on the platform and ensure that they get great service.
All right. And what would you want, say, from the end of the government or the state government or even the central government? What do you think? Because we're in the middle of Digital India, Startup India. There is a clear focus from the establishment end to foster businesses like these. What do you think needs to be done from that side?
Two major things that come to mind, of course, is more accessible for everybody to data, have data and smartphones available to the larger populace. So, but also most importantly from a trade system, we're a very broken, very old trade system and taxation system. So GST was going to be a very big play for us. And even though GST has been delayed in the near term, we still have hopes that it will come up by 2017, but that will take us to a different trajectory completely.
Absolutely. And with that, we will slip into another short break, but more on Just Buy Live after that in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Live, popularly known as JBL, offers an easy-to-use mobile application for retailers who can register themselves on the app and start buying products from numerous brands. The retailers not only get the ease of purchase but also get to save on cost, since the JBL app is completely built on a business-to-retail or B2R model with the tagline Direct Brand Sale.
We've designed our systems and our logistics, and we've built our infrastructure in such a way that whichever state in India that you operate out of, you would still get local VAT input. So we're not a traditional marketplace model or what most other e-commerce players use today, where a retailer can choose, of course, to log in as an individual probably with one of the other platforms and source product. And when he sources the product, it comes to him from some centralized warehouse in India, and all he gets is CST. In our case, it always comes to him, always by default, from a warehouse which is within his state. Therefore, irrespective of where we procure the product from, our system is designed in such a way that he will always get local VAT input.
JBL empowers retailers by enabling them to buy products from leading brands from any part of the country and get the same delivered right to their registered address. Keeping the credit hassle of retailers in mind, JBL has tied up with financial institutions to provide structural financial credit of up to 1 lakh rupees.
Getting credit from Just Buy on the Just Buy platform is very, very easy to do. We have tied up with a couple of financial institutions for providing credit to these retailers. So as soon as they sign up, these financial institutions would approach the retailers, and then they will give them all the credit that they need based on the KYC and the credit worthiness that they have to evaluate. Once that is done, then in a couple of days they can start buying on credit from the Just Buy app.
With over 300 employees and a competent management team, JBL is ready to set the stage for a new era in e-commerce called the New Commerce.
The reason why these guys should succeed and will succeed is because most other .com or app companies that exist are influencers. The difference between Just Buy and everything else in their bricks and mortars distribution category is that they're not an influencer. They're a game changer.
Offering a complete range of packaged consumables, fashion brands, auto accessories, electronics and personal care products, JBL provides fair and transparent margins to dealers, and its basic premise is the empowerment of retailers.